I, 25F, moved in with my boyfriend, 32M, too soon, and he is showing his true colors. I'm using a throwaway account since my friend and a couple of coworkers browse Reddit. I've changed the names. My boyfriend Cam and I have been together for about 9 months, and I just moved in with him last month. Up until then, we got along well. He asked me to move in with him around the 6-month mark, but I wasn't ready yet. I finally agreed to move in a month later. My main reason for moving in was to see if we could live together before getting married, which is something we both agreed we want. To give some background, Cam has lived with girlfriends in the past. It never worked out, according to him, because they got really angry and were always fighting. I can kind of see why now. I've never lived with a significant other before. I've always had my own apartment or roommates. I didn't move in because of money or anything. I have plenty of savings and have been independent since graduating high school. When we first started dating, I was very open with him and honest about my medical issues that cause bowel issues. I told him there would be times when I would pass gas in front of him because I can't control it and that he'd have to be okay with that. In the beginning, he was fine with it, and now he does it in front of me all the time. He lifts his leg like a dog and then laughs. If I smell it and make a face, he laughs harder. I've told him it's gross and that I only do it because I can't control it. I've asked him not to, but he finds it funny. The other issue is I have 2 cats. They are overall well-behaved, but like all pets, cats can get into things. He gets mad at them, claps his hands in their faces, and swears at them if they misbehave. It's really upsetting because they are mine, and I've raised them since they were kittens. I've told him not to do that because my cats get upset and hide for hours from being stressed out. I'm constantly walking on eggshells because Cam gets easily upset about everything. He constantly comes home and complains about his work and coworkers, claiming he always has the worst day at work. If it's not one coworker that's frustrating him one day, it's another. I've suggested he look for another job or move departments, but he doesn't listen, then acts pouty for 2 or 3 days. It puts me in a terrible mood too. I told him I can't listen to it any longer because it upsets me. He got mad at me and now says, well, since you don't want to hear it, yet still rants about whatever it is. He can go into a rant for hours about one person. He got mad because one of his coworkers types loudly on a keyboard. It's all petty stuff. I work in an office environment too, and if he were one of my coworkers, I'd be upset with his attitude and behavior. Since moving in, I'm the one who does most of the cleaning. I have to ask him to do anything, or else it won't get done. Before I moved in, I made it clear that I wanted to keep things equal and that he would need to help. I cook us dinner most nights and do the grocery shopping. The nights I don't cook, we eat out. The deal was, he was supposed to do the dishes. They literally sit in the sink piled high. I do the vacuuming, laundry, take care of the cats, and clean the bathroom and kitchen. All I ask is he do the dishes, take the trash out, and mop after I vacuum. He's mopped maybe once since I moved in, and I end up doing the rest. I try to eat healthy, and am always working on ensuring I don't gain weight. Cam has probably put on about 15 to 20 pounds since we started dating, which is fine. He is always drinking IPAs, making poor food choices, and sits on the couch all afternoon to evening when he's off work. He complains about the weight he's put on but does nothing about it. He golfs on the weekends on Saturday and Sunday mornings and then does nothing afterward. When I get home from work, he's always planted on the couch. If I don't sit on the couch with him all evening, he gets upset. I've tried to start a routine of going on walks after work so we can spend time together and stay active. He complains and acts pouty like I'm making him do the worst thing ever. I've stopped trying to do activities or get him to go to the gym with me. I just want to work out, explore the world since I sit at my desk all day at the office. The last thing I want to do when I come home is sit on a couch forever watching TV. I feel trapped, and the only enjoyment I get is browsing Reddit, which he has also convinced himself that the reason I'm on my phone is because I'm cheating. If anyone texts me, he looks at me suspiciously, and I have to show him the messages to get him to stop. Most of the time, it's my friend Robin from work sending me memes. He has even smacked my phone out of my hands if I'm on it too long and says I need to pay attention to what's on TV. I've told him not to do it. I have to be very careful with my phone use in front of him. I'm not sure what to do. Should I confront him or just leave? I'm wondering if it's worth it to try to salvage this relationship or if I should start preparing to move on. I've tried to have conversations in the past with him about these issues. He acts like I'm being dramatic about his behaviors and the things that upset me, and then he gets upset or gives me the cold shoulder for a couple of days if I bring anything up. Then I end up apologizing for bringing it up. He has a terrible habit of always needing to be right, so I'm constantly trying not to upset him, but in return, it's eating away at me inside. I'm stressed out and at a loss for how to talk with him about all of this. Just leave. You have money, so go get an apartment. On the day you're moving, tell him. Or you can move while he's at work. He's not going to suddenly shape up and be what you want. How long are you willing to wait? It's true. I'm going to start looking this week and make arrangements for one of my friends to hold on to my cats. This is not a helpful answer. It sounds like they are just two couples getting used to each other, and then someone suggests going for the extreme solution. Honestly, this is your first time cohabitating. Stick it out and see what's in store for the next time. It sounds like verbal and emotional abuse, on top of him being immature and controlling. Here are the red flags. He pressures you to move fast in the relationship. He describes abuse as a joke. He abuses your pets. You could be next. You feel like you're walking on eggshells because he gets upset a lot. He ignores your reasonable and communicated need to not listen to him complain for hours. He doesn't pull his weight around the house with chores, cooking, etc. He complains about everyone else and refuses to look at his own shortcomings. He controls you by insisting you spend all your time with him doing things you don't want to do. He is controlling, snooping, and unreasonably jealous, and you feel stressed out. Please check out The Verbally Abusive Relationship by Patricia Evans and see if anything resonates. In my opinion, leave him before it gets worse. The red flags that you describe are traits of a narcissist. Every single one. These include projection, blaming, taking no responsibility for the issues, controlling behavior, love bombing, backhanded insults, and being lazy with the intent to make you feel insecure. The end result is to destroy you. Get away from him, which you did. I agree with every point except for him pressuring to move fast in a relationship. The original poster didn't make it sound like he pressured them to do it any faster than she was comfortable with. He asked around 6 months and, unless the original poster left out the detail, didn't make a fit about her not saying yes right away. Other than that, he is not a good person who deserves nothing less. Original poster, you sound way more stable than him. Please don't let him drag you down to his level. Not everything is instantly abuse. Calm down for a second. Everything is labeled as abuse in this subreddit. It's so annoying. Edit, a typo. To give some background, Cam has lived with girlfriends in the past. According to him, it never worked out because they got really angry and were always fighting. I laughed out loud at my desk when I read this. I bet all his exes are crazy too, right? Since moving in, I'm the one who does the majority of the cleaning as well. I have to ask him to do anything, or else it won't get done. I feel trapped, and the only enjoyment I get is browsing Reddit, which he's also convinced himself is because I'm cheating. He thinks this because he knows he's not treating me well, so why wouldn't I be looking for someone else? He has even smacked my phone out of my hands if I'm on it too long and says I need to pay attention to what's on TV. Your undesirable boyfriend has now started physically mistreating you, and you need to move out and cut contact with him. Move out completely while he is at work. I am worried for the safety of your cats and you, frankly. It's a hard thing to accept, but you're right. I'm going to start looking for another place to live this week. He's also convinced himself that the reason I'm on my phone is because I'm cheating. What? He has knocked my phone out of my hands if I'm on it for too long and says I need to pay attention to what's on TV. You need to reconsider this relationship. He sounds pretty awful all around. Have you reread what you wrote to us? Would you, prior to meeting him, like this text post? Yes, I have reread my post. It's hard to believe he was not like this before we started living together. I know it would be best to leave. It's a difficult pill to swallow. Are you dating my ex? Seriously? This is a play-by-play of everything he did to me, right down to the timeline. The age and the behaviors are spot on too. Yikes. I'm sorry, girl. All I can tell you is that I wish I'd left his sorry self long before I did. The way I allowed him to treat me for so long ended up scarring me for future relationships. Please, get yourself out of there and fast. It's not going to get better. He's obviously incapable of having constructive adult conversations, and clearly doesn't respect you, your animals, or your boundaries. I wish you luck. Message me if you need to talk. Thank you. I appreciate the advice, and I will message you if I need to talk. You can't stay for your own sake and health. This is pure abuse and manipulation, and at least you have started to see it. Here's what I see. He forbids you from doing everything and mocks you for the personal issue you have. He also abuses the cats. You are doing all the chores while he just sits on the couch. He forces you to sit with him and watch TV, and you have to do everything the way he says. He is overly clingy, and his behavior is outright rude, abusive, and manipulative. Leave now. Seriously. That guy is, and I'm sorry to say, completely trashy. You deserve better. Original poster, he is controlling, entitled, and I would go as far as to say he is abusive. He only behaves like this because he is comfortable with you to a point where he believes he can live recklessly and get away with it. As a fellow 25-year-old woman, you deserve so much better. Notice how he says it never worked out with his ex-girlfriends because they got angry all the time. You're simply expected to cater to him and adjust your life to his. When you suggest any changes that would require him to make an effort or be in an uncomfortable position, he gets upset. This is incredibly selfish and childish of him, and the longer you stay with him, the more territory, physical, emotional, mental, he's going to keep on claiming from you. This guy is a loser, and any feelings of frustration, uncertainty, or straight up annoyance you feel are completely justified. Thank you. It's good to know I'm not going crazy. I'm going to have to start looking for a place. He's mean to your cats. Plus, he smacks things out of your hands and treats you like a servant and therapist. Moreover, he is suspicious and demands to see your phone. Additionally, you're not going to get anywhere bringing issues up with him because he's already told you that he isn't willing to entertain any complaints from you. So, what is worth salvaging here? You could live at your own place, and you and your cats could enjoy a peaceful life without this man. You have money, so you are not stuck with him. You made a bad mistake, but you can easily set it right. It's embarrassing to admit that I made this mistake of even moving in with him. I will probably start looking for a new place this week. You kind of answered your own question. You moved in together to see if you would be compatible in a marriage, and clearly you aren't. I can imagine it will be difficult, but it sounds like you need to move on. I would say, be careful. Because if he smacks your phone out of your hand over literally nothing, who knows how he would react to you leaving. As a 25-year-old woman, you're describing what might be seen as red flags for borderline personality disorder, BPD. The behaviors you describe, such as verbal abuse, controlling demands, temper tantrums, black and white thinking, always being the victim, and rapid changes between Jekyll, loving you, and Hyde, devaluing you, are classic warning signs for BPD. Importantly, I'm not suggesting your boyfriend has full-blown BPD. Only a professional can determine that. Instead, I'm suggesting you consider whether he may be exhibiting a moderate to strong pattern of BPD symptoms, someone who is a person with BPD, PWBPD. If your boyfriend is a PWBPD, he carries enormous anger inside from early childhood. You therefore don't have to do a thing to create the anger. Rather, you only have to do or say some minor thing that triggers a release of anger that is already there. This is why a PWBPD can burst into a rage in only 10 seconds. Moreover, PWBPD often have very weak control over their emotions. Indeed, the key defining characteristic of BPD is the inability to regulate one's own emotions. If your boyfriend is a PWBPD, this enabling behavior, which allows him to continue behaving like a spoiled child and get away with it, is harmful to both of you. This is why the best-selling BPD book, targeted to the abused partners and published in 8 languages, is titled Stop Walking on Eggshells. If he is a PWBPD, he lacks a strong sense of self-identity. This means that when he is alone in a room, he doesn't even have a self to keep himself company. He needs a partner, one who has a strong, stable personality to provide the missing self-identity, the grounding, and the sense of direction. This is why a PWBPD typically hates to be alone. This is a good example of a behavior called black-white thinking. If your boyfriend is a PWBPD, he is capable of loving you very intensely, but it is the very immature type of love you see in young children. This means he will occasionally flip in only 10 seconds from Jekyll, adoring you, to Hyde, devaluing or hating you, and a few hours or days later, he can flip back again just as quickly. Like a young child, a PWBPD is too emotionally immature to be able to handle strong conflicting feelings, such as love and hate. This means he has great difficulty tolerating ambiguities, uncertainties, and other gray areas of close interpersonal relationships. He thus will subconsciously split off the conflicting feeling, putting it far out of reach of his conscious mind. With young children, this splitting is evident when the child will adore mommy while she's bringing out the toys, but in only 10 seconds, will flip to hating mommy when she takes one toy away. Importantly, this behavior does not mean that the child has stopped loving mommy. Rather, it means that his conscious mind is temporarily out of touch with those loving feelings. Similarly, a PWBPD will categorize everyone close to him as all good, with me, or all bad, against me. And he will recategorize someone from one polar extreme to the other in just 10 seconds, based solely on a minor comment or action. This black-white thinking also will be evident in his frequent use of all or nothing expressions, such as you never and you always. Because his close friends eventually will be split black, it is unusual for a PWBPD to have any really close long-term friends, unless they live a long distance away, even though he might have many casual friends. If he is a PWBPD, he has been carrying self-loathing deep inside since early childhood. Hence, the last thing a PWBPD wants to find is one more mistake or flaw to add to the long list of things he hates about himself. Moreover, he judges himself using the same black-white thinking he uses in judging other people. This means that when he consciously realizes that he has made a mistake, he will immediately feel like he is all bad. Unlike the rest of us, he never had an opportunity in childhood to integrate the good and bad aspects of his personality. That is, in childhood, he never realized that he is an essentially good boy who occasionally does bad things. Of course, learning to spot BPD warning signs will not enable you to diagnose his issues. Although strong BPD symptoms are easy to spot, only a professional can determine whether they are so severe and persistent as to constitute a full-blown disorder. Yet, like learning warning signs for a stroke or heart attack, learning those for BPD may help you avoid a very painful situation. For example, remaining in a toxic relationship or running into the arms of another man just like him. Learning the red flags also can help you decide whether professional guidance is needed. I therefore suggest you take a quick look at my list of 18 BPD warning signs, link omitted, to see if most sound very familiar. If so, and you have questions, I would be glad to discuss them with you. Once you've moved out, if you ever feel tempted to rejoin him, I would suggest you see a psychologist for a visit or two all by yourself to obtain a professional opinion on what you're dealing with. While I appreciate a lot of what you said, I feel the need to clarify a couple of things because some of your statements unfairly generalize the disorder. BPD isn't always about anger. For instance, I exhibit it more as intense sadness. I don't lash out as much as I shut down. I'm not a threat to anyone besides making them feel bad for hurting me. It's equally manipulative in ways, and I'm addressing it, but the way you described it makes us sound like our disorder is dangerous. BPD also isn't about emotional immaturity. While it may manifest like that at times, it is also about a failure to regulate emotions that are blown out of proportion. Often, folks with BPD experience intense emotions, which is why we can go from loving someone intensely and idolizing them to splitting, to devaluing, and being intensely upset with someone. This is also why so many of us engage in self-harm, attempt to unalive ourselves, and why such a large number of people suffering from BPD succeed in ending their own life. We aren't all demons, and not all manipulative individuals have BPD. We are suffering from a traumatic disorder that sometimes makes us behave in really awful ways, most often as a coping or defense mechanism that we learned from a young age.